We're making Mongolian beef tonight, so this is our third stir fry recipe, but this is one of my favorites. We've got flank steak. We buy these guys at Costco and then cut them in half to feed the two of us. What I did is I thawed it, and then I also put it back in the freezer for just a little while because the freezer firms it up and makes it easier to slice. Easier to slice thin, I should say. So all I'm gonna do is just cut. You see the way the grain goes, it's like wood, okay? And so what I'm doing is I'm cutting across the grain because that way when you get this in your mouth, it falls apart. If you cut it this way, way too much chewing going on. So I'm just gonna cut this down, cutting it thin. Sharp knife definitely helps. And then we're gonna coat it with cornstarch and let it sit for just a little bit while we build the sauce. And it'll soak that cornstarch up and it'll make a really nice crispy outside when we do that in the wok. So let me finish this guy about that much. It's gonna go in the work bowl. I'm gonna put some cornstarch on it, toss it around. And it should look about like that. I'm gonna cut up this other one, put the cornstarch on it, set it aside, we'll come back and build the sauce. These are enormous cloves of garlic. I don't measure the tablespoon, but just to give you an idea, it's about the size, total size of my thumb ends up being the right size. And we're just gonna mince this guy down using our plane. And then we'll do the same thing for our ginger. You can buy minced, pulverized garlic. I don't, unless you use a lot of it, I just don't see the need because it's just so easy to do if you have a little microplane like this. And so I end up with about a tablespoon of garlic. I'm gonna do the same thing with the ginger, frozen ginger. Again, just peel away any of the skin that's close to the surface. I'm just gonna break that off. And then grate it. This recipe calls for a teaspoon, which is about, I don't know, it's about that much, maybe that much more. Like I said, you can never have too much. Too little ginger, too much ginger, whatever. And that's it. I've got some oil in my pan. I've got my ingredients ready to go. I want the oil to get hot, but not like smoking hot like before because we're making a sauce and we're using sugar. Sugar burns really easily. But I do want to see the oil start to shimmer, and then I'm gonna drop my garlic and oh yeah, that's what we want to hear. I've dropped my garlic and my ginger in there. I'm gonna wait till it gets a little bit fragrant. It's starting to smell amazing already. Don't let it burn. If you screw up and burn it at this stage, just stop because it will taste crappy. Let this cook, let this get just a little bit more fragrant. Stir it around a little. The kitchen starts to smell really good. Get that going, maybe 30 seconds. And once that's looking really good, smells amazing, I'm gonna go ahead and add my water and soy sauce. Give that a good stir. I'm gonna add my sugar and break it up and let that dissolve. Now, watch your temperature. This will boil over and turn to lava and just completely screw up your cooktop. So don't do that. Not that I've ever done that. I'm just saying it's a long weekend of carving sugar off your cooktop. So we're gonna let this go. I'm actually gonna move it back onto low heat at the back burner here. and we're just gonna let that simmer. It's gonna reduce, it's gonna thicken, and we'll be back to that in a second. Screaming hot pan, oil in the pan. Screaming hot pan. We're gonna do the meat. We're gonna do the meat in batches this time because we really want a nice sear, but you'll notice that the meat has absorbed all of the cornstarch, well, the cornstarch that was on it. And I'm just gonna add this in batches so that I get a really nice sear on the outside of the meat. Lay it out flat, get it in the oil, pull it up the side, get it to stick. Now try to get that nice sear on the meat using that cornstarch. So see how brown it gets on the outside? That's beautiful. This has all been turned. I'll turn this guy too. But you don't want to cook, you don't want to overcook it. So even though that guy's a little bloody, it's okay. We're going to bring him back to the wok in a minute. So here we go. I'm going to cook the rest of the meat. All right, so my meat is done. Nice and crispy brown. If you have a ton of oil in here, get rid of it because this is not supposed to be an oily dish. I'm just gonna scrape what I have in there out and get rid of it. I don't want this to be oily. Now, I know that Mongolian beef doesn't usually include mushrooms and broccoli, but I put it in because this is a one-dish meal. This is all the food we're having on top of rice. So I put it in, whoa! So I put it in because I like the extra veg that's in there. If you find that your pan is too dry, add a little bit of oil. But I got rid of the beef oil grease that was in there, and now I have a fairly dry wok for me to do the mushrooms in. I'm going to add just a touch of oil back so that I can get them moving. Okay, so I got my mushrooms going, and then I'm going to add the beef back. And then I parboiled the broccoli because the broccoli lately has not been cooking fast enough in the wok. And I find that if I parboil it just a little bit, the texture is better and it's not as, it's not as hard to eat. So we're going to do that. We're going to do the broccoli. That's the water that was in the broccoli that's steaming off. So I'm just giving that a good stir. And then here's our beautiful sauce. Here's our beautiful sauce. That goes on top. And I'm gonna let it cook down just a little bit get it all infused into the veg. Let it boil a little bit. And then these are our green onions. So the green onions go on top. And that's how we do Mongolian beef. So come back in just a sec and we'll plate over there. Got the rice in the bowls. Got Mongolian beef over the top like that. And then I'm gonna tip it just a little bit. And we'll get the sauce over the top as well. Got plenty for leftovers tomorrow. A little bit extra right there. Clean up this plate. Oh, that's it. And you can top this with some like toasted sesame seeds, really tasty. But that's Sunday Mongolian beef right there. I love you guys.